Friends, welcome to Breakthrough. I'm your host Sherwin Fernandes. I am a finance academic at University of Wollongong in Dubai with prior experience at KPMG. After launching a successful talk series called Stepping into the Corporate World in 2022 and receiving a good reception, I now decided to launch Breakthrough. Breakthrough isn't just a run-of-the-mill podcast. We're going to bring you face to face with industry leaders and people who made their mark. We're not just going to scratch the surface, but we're going to dive deep and extract real world insights without the fluff. So, whether you're looking to climb up the career ladder or unleash your full potential, Breakthrough is your launchpad. So, join us as we interrogate success, debunk myths, and break through. Friends, today we are joined by a very special guest and my friend, Miss Carol Baddoura. Carol has over 10 years of experience in career counseling and Big Four talent acquisition. Join us as we discuss career readiness and more with Carol's valuable insights. Let's begin. Hey Carol, it's lovely to have you. Welcome to Breakthrough.
Thank you, Sherwin. I'm really happy to be here.
So let's get started with discussing career readiness. How would you define career readiness?
So we hear a lot about career readiness these days, right? And basically, I would define it in really simple terms: is how much a student is ready to enter the corporate world, and what are they doing to prepare themselves to enter the corporate world.
So if you were an undergraduate student anywhere in the world, be it Dubai, Mumbai, or anywhere in the world, what would you do while in university to prepare yourself?
So I would say the first thing is to do a lot of research on what's happening in the job market, what are the trends, what are the skills, what are the competencies that employers are looking for. What are the jobs that are in demand, not just today or 5 years from now, but even 10 or 20 years from now, even if it's going to be hypothetical. But it's important to start building that mindset of the knowledge, the skills, the personality that I'm building today is going to keep me employable for the 5, 10, 15 years from now, and obviously keep a learning mindset to keep yourself up to date. There's a lot of things an undergrad or any type of student can do to feel that they are career ready or to feel that they are more confident in doing that transition between academia and their professional life. And it all starts about, like I said, understanding the context around them, the economy, different crises that are happening, what is in demand, what is not. And then basically setting a goal to themselves. And this is what I call career planning. What do I want to do? Where do I want to reach? How do I see myself in the future? And it doesn't need to be a very specific or clear image of yourself. It can be vague, but it can help. But it can have, basically big headlines like, this is where I want to be living. This is the type of context I want to be working in. Is it outdoors, indoors, in office, with people, alone, from home? So a lot of small questions that we can jot down, try to answer, that will give us this type of picture of ourselves. How much money do I want to earn? Is money really important, or are other things more important to me, like maybe helping people out or making a positive impact, or maybe both? And then reverse engineer it, which means that tracing the steps back till today as an undergrad, what you should be doing today that will help you get to that objective or get to that goal.
I think that's a very good thing you said, reverse engineering. Deciding your goal and then working towards your goal and formulating your steps to reach towards that goal. Many a times I come across students who are solely focused on the academics. They want to get high distinctions and they don't like to participate in extracurricular activities. Do you think these are important? Let's say, suppose you are a very bright student, you're scoring straight high distinctions. Do you think employers will value that a lot more over some extracurricular work? Is it even necessary?
I would say it's a sensitive subject in a sense that depending on what you are applying for or what type of industry and job you aim to enter, you will need to basically balance between grades and extracurricular activities or even experience, which means that good grades, I would say, not necessarily high grades, but good grades are always good to have, but because it can give you more options in your job applications. You're not necessarily restricted to some specific things. At the same time, not all industries require you to have extremely high grades or will necessarily ask you for your grades. They will more look into your behavior, your competencies, your personality. If you're required to be dealing with people, did you develop people skills? If you're going to be working solely with machines, right? So different type of skills will be required, but some industries will require you to have high grades because you need to complete professional qualifications, or maybe you need to complete further studies, do a master's or do a PhD. So having these good grades will give the employer or this institution basically the knowledge or the sign that you're capable of completing professional qualifications and passing them because of your history of good grades. But again, I always try to advise the students to have a balance between both, because what we tend to see with the students that solely focus on high grades is that, like you said, they don't invest themselves in extracurricular activities. They don't work in team projects. They don't go out and try to experience life and experience the corporate world. And then they don't develop workplace skills. They don't become career ready. And this is something we see a lot during interviews, where on paper the candidate is bright. They tick a lot of the boxes we need. But in real life, you need to be dealing with people. You will be dealing with problems. You will need to solve them. You will need to find solutions. You will need to overcome challenges. And if you haven't been through these experiences in life and you did not develop the tools to manage them, then it's going to be really difficult for you, especially the first 2 years of transitioning between, your university and your job. And employers will always prefer someone who's able to manage themselves in simple situations that you're going to encounter anywhere you work, right? Difficult people to work with, people who do not want to work or be part of a team, people who might take credit for your work, difficult deadlines to meet, so on and so forth. And I truly believe that university, whether you're in a 3-year or 4-year program, gives you that time to experience life while studying, whereas at school we don't have this luxury.
I totally agree with what you said. I feel good grades help you open the door, but that opening the door is not enough. You also need to have good skills to complement it. I mean, based on my own experience, my prior work experience, I've come across many fellow associates who had brilliant grades, but then if they didn't have the skills to complement it, the people skills, good communication skills, they wouldn't get quick promotions. So, as you rightly said, skills and grades both matter. Actually, that leads us to the question, what kind of extracurricular activities should students pursue while in university that would help complement their academic skills?
I would say definitely those type of extracurricular activities and course projects as well, where either you can work in a team, so you understand what working in a team means and you develop teamwork skills. You can understand what type of team member you are and what you need to improve on. Those experiences where you can develop communication skills, where you need to convey messages, take feedback, give feedback, right? Share difficult messages sometimes, and those experiences where you need to manage projects, so you understand, from A to Z what you need to be taken into consideration, the different milestones, timelines, deadlines to meet, and definitely do research around what you're studying, what can you work in that field, and what type of skills that field requires you to develop. And I think
find something that complements
exactly.
the area
I think the more targeted your research is and the findings you will have, the better, the more competitive you will become when you're applying for that, let's say, internship or part-time job or project. And you will be developing the skills required in that field particularly.
Yeah, so I see group projects are very important. I always tell my students who dislike group projects, many of the students dislike group projects because they feel it will impact their individual grade, and they're quite comfortable working on their own, especially the ones who score well. But I tell them in real life, when you work in the office, you have to work with people.
Correct.
And in a place like Dubai, for instance, with different cultures,
Correct.
different temperaments, so group projects pave the way for the future.
This is really, I think, a very recurrent subject amongst students, because you always have that one student who won't do anything and take the credit, that one student who will maybe do the extra work, right? So on and so forth. But like you rightly said, in real life, you will always need to work with others. And even if you're working on a project alone, you're going to have to report it to someone who's more senior than you. And you never know, depending on the company's culture, the people you work with, what are the values instilled there, who's going to take credit, whether it's going to be you, the whole team, one person. So developing this resilience of knowing how to work with others, knowing how to manage others in a way that you can bring the best out of each person to make the project successful, to give yourself a good grade, but also others, starts at university. And I also believe that the earlier students start to get experience, even in their sophomore years, whether they're getting a part-time job at the university, right? Whether they're helping in inventory. It can be something really manual. But understanding that aspect of sometimes hard work will help you develop resilience, will help you develop how you're going to organize yourself, how you're going to become more emotionally intelligent, right? In navigating complex situations. And these types of skills and competencies can only be developed on the job, like you said,
Yes.
right? You have to get your hands dirty.
Yes, I totally agree with all of what you've said. And in fact, I tell students when it comes to group projects, even if there are some members in your group who do not contribute, make sure that the end result is perfect or near perfect. No one can achieve perfection, near perfection. That's what I learned from my stint in deal advisory. If a member of the team is sick or not sick, your client isn't going to care about it.
Exactly.
All they care about is the end result.
The deliverable.
So the same goes for university projects. The end result should be good, and then later you solve the internal problems.
Correct.
That leads us to the internship conundrum. Many students who meet often say that they find it very tough to get internships organically. They face a lot of competition with the ever increasing job force. And many firms these days prefer students who already have internship experience because they don't want to train them so much. From a student's point of view, what's the best thing you can do in university if you're finding it tough to get an internship?
So before I answer this question, I just want to also stress on one point you've mentioned, which is gaining experience before we actually enter the workforce, right? And I've also heard, a lot of students come and complaining that I've applied for this job, it's a fresh graduate job. I'm a fresh graduate, but they want 1 year of experience. How am I going to have this 1 year of experience if I didn't start working yet? And this is what we've been talking about. If you combine a project here, a part-time job there, a 3-month internship here, after 3 years of your undergrad degree, you have a 1-year experience. This is what the employer means. And the employer will train you on how the job needs to be done, what are the processes in place, how the reporting should be, anything that entails for the job to be done correctly. But he cannot, from day one, train you on having the workplace skills, on how to navigate, that. And this is why they prefer people or students with experience, because the students will, these fresh grads will already know how to navigate the corporate life. What hierarchy means, what matrix means, how do I collaborate with different people, why a deadline is important, why the deliverable needs to be this way and not that way. So yes, the competition is rising and it will continue to rise. We're getting smarter. I mean, the new generations are getting smarter. With the new technology, obviously, there's a lot of competition at that level. And the only way, I would say, maybe it's not the only way, but one of the best ways to navigate the competitiveness is to understand where me as a candidate, I'm the most competitive. And the common mistake the students do is that they follow trends without questioning whether they belong to that trend or not. So for example, we see that everyone is studying IT, or IT is the thing now, everyone will go and study IT. As finance is the thing now, everyone will do that, so on and so forth. And at the end, they reach a point where everyone has more or less the same type of CV, they have the same profile, but they don't have the same skills. Yes. Or the same EQ and IQ, right?
Yes.
And they say, okay, but I tick all the boxes on the job description, why no one called me? And I always tell them, well, the first competition is sitting right next to you in the classroom. Your friend who's studying the same major and undergoing the same exams and applying to the same internship, he or she is your competition. How do you differentiate yourself? So how do I differentiate myself from Sherwin, for example? What can I do or what do I have that will make me more competitive in front of the employer than Sherwin? And this is what I need to focus on. This is what I need to develop more. And if I don't know, then I need to research to become aware of that and improve on it. And very few students do that. They just go, I would say going with the flow is wrong, but sometimes you need to take that step back and look at, if this is the market, this is what it requires, and there are 40,000 people in Dubai only on a yearly basis graduating with the same major, why would I get the job at this Big Four firm, for example, and not my classmate?
Right. It's very important for them to distinguish.
Just ask this question.
It's very important to distinguish yourself.
Yeah.
You mentioned a lot of students go with the flow. They say that finance careers are booming, let's all do finance.
Yep.
And many a times it's the pressure even comes from parents.
Correct.
They learn from colleagues at their workplace that finance, for instance, is a very lucrative career, and then some parents even force their students
Correct.
to choose careers that they lack resonance with. What do you think are the perils when it comes to choosing a career that you lack resonance with? You might end up getting good grades.
Yeah.
But then how does this affect your work life? If you choose a career that you lack resonance with, or you're just doing it because you are forced to do it.
I've faced this situation with many of students I've previously counseled, and unfortunately, I would say yes. Sometimes the pressure comes from the parents. They believe that you can only earn money and have a good career if you study finance, for example, or engineering, and there's nothing else you can do in life. Or because all your friends are getting into, for example, consulting, so you should too, because this is, where the money is, or this is how you will look cool. I don't know, whatever peer pressure one can feel. And oftentimes it's not the right career for you, right? Because you did not answer, important questions for you to come to the result that, yes, because of these answers, it makes sense that I should go in that direction and not another. Now, for the first example where the student might know what they like or what they're good at, but they're forced into something different and they cannot do anything different about it because their parents are paying for the tuition, so on and so forth. What I advise them to do is that nowadays, I think we have that luxury that you can navigate different fields.
Yes.
With a lot of different set of skills without restricting yourself to one. which means if I'm good with numbers, right? And my parents say, no, you have to study finance. You're good with numbers. You're good in math. This is where the money is. You do finance, bachelor's degree in finance. And I say, okay, I'm good with numbers, but I don't want to spend, day in, day out working with numbers. I can't see myself. I'm going to become depressed. I like working with people. I like, the communication. I like solving issues. So what I advise them to do is that the only thing that's preventing you from finding that job in that industry that fits what you're looking for is research. Yes. Did you sit down and research what type of jobs require someone who's good with numbers, good with people, and need to solve problems? Because it exists. Yes. You just put the equation and try to see what the result is. And a lot of people feel, that one student I had, which was, he was really, really stressed about, he has to have good grades in finance, but he doesn't want to work in finance. And I told him, the minute you finish your bachelor's degree, you have that freedom in applying for jobs. And even again, let's take it a step further. Even if you're forced into that first job as a financial analyst, right? Again, to fit a certain type of mold. Within that company, you will be able to find other areas to explore in parallel, right? Once you step in. So it's never the end result. It's always something that, you will be doing while you're working, while you're researching, while you're developing and knowing yourself more. For those who follow the trend, it's a bit different because these students need to be aware that they're following a trend. And they need to be aware that I do not want to follow the trend anymore. And I want to try to make something that fits me, my profile, my personality, my skills, right? What I'm good at. Because, consulting can be very, attractive as a job or as a career. But did you, for example, ask your question if you're willing to spend all your weekends, 20 hours per day working and flying between countries, not be near your family, not be able to do maybe some hobbies that you're passionate about? And a lot of students, when they listen to that, because they don't know these small details, or maybe for us they're obvious, right? Because we're in that industry, and they say, oh no, I like, horseback riding, and I do this in my weekend, and I volunteer there. Should I stop doing that? And it's like, it's not stopping. Your life pace will make you stop. So are you willing to do that? Will you be comfortable in stopping this for 3 or 5 years? And they say, but no. I would say, then there you go. But there are other jobs that you can do that will make you earn a lot of money and maybe visit the world as well. You just need to research about it. And this is the biggest, I would say, common mistake I found among students is that laziness to research and ask questions. And sometimes they only need to ask people around them in their immediate environment. Look at your father, look at your mom, your cousin, the friend of your friend. Ask them where are they working? How does their day-to-day look like? How did they get there? Yes. And when you start compiling all this information, you will get the answers you need, and then the next action you need to take.
Yes, I totally agree. I think you raised a number of key points, I should say. And as far as I understand, the best thing to do is find something you're good at and develop those skills, rather than choosing a job where you lack resonance. But let's say, suppose your parents have forced you into choosing a career in finance. You're good at it, you do well at it, but you don't really want to do an investment banking job, a lot of number crunching on Excel. I feel there you mentioned research, this is the key word. So if you're good at finance, but you don't want to do an office job, a lot of number crunching on Excel, there are a variety of other jobs in the realm of finance. If you are a people's person, for instance, and you have been getting good grades in finance, you could end up being a lecturer like me. I happen to change my field. Yeah. So being good at finance helps. The office experience helps, and because I like to deal with people and students, and I love teaching, it satisfies even my passion. I think research is very important. It's very important to make informed career choices.
That's
And
it.
the more you, as you said, you interact, talk to your peers, talk to your parents, mentors, the more research you're able to do before you join, it helps a lot.
And as we started the conversation with, try the job itself. That
Yes.
can be through the internship, through the project you're going to be working at, the part-time job sometimes, right? The job shadowing, just observing, what does it look like to be that, a financial analyst, or I don't know, a waiter or anything. And then you can, go back and say, okay, can I do this? Am I excited to wake up every morning and have to do this? And if the answer is yes, go for it. But if you say, I'm not really sure, then you need to continue your research and do further exploration.
Yeah. I think this leads us to another important area. Uh, you won't know unless you try.
Yeah.
We can also ask a variety of people advice. You can ask your professors, your mentors, your parents, but unless you have tried for yourself, you never know. So one of the things I always tell my students is always try and do an internship and experience for yourself. When do you think is the best time to do an internship? Should it be after graduation or during graduation while you're still studying and trying to explore things? At times that comes at an expense of, your grades if you're working at the same time. But what would your advice be to students?
I would say the first year is too soon. The sophomore year is too soon because you still did not start taking, the specialized courses, right? It's still a bit generic, but maybe working on projects, right? Volunteering would help you, set the ground running. Second year is a really good time to apply for internships, and I would say, although it's not going to be really fun, but use your vacation to intern. You have a winter vacation, you have a summer vacation. I mean, different countries will have different calendars, academic calendars, but use that vacation to either volunteer, work on a part-time job, or find an internship. And always try to do that as early as possible in order for you not to miss on that application windows, right? Depending on the industry, depending on the country itself, depending on the academic calendar versus the corporate calendar, sometimes you need to apply for these internships 6 months in advance, sometimes 1 year in advance, and sometimes 1 month in advance. So in order for the student not to miss out and say, oh, I'm too late, right? Or I'm too soon, and then, they forget about it, you have to research. And you have to ask, in that industry, in that country, when should I be applying? What type of internships are available? When does the internship program happens? And then do it accordingly. And the third year and fourth year, depending on your bachelor's degree, also do an internship. If you have on your CV 2 internships, that means that you're really serious. You're really exploring your choices, even if those internships are not necessarily directly related to the job you're applying for. Because you're allowed exploration. You're allowed to say, well, I tried that. It was interesting. It was nice. I learned a lot, but it wasn't for me. So next year I tried something else. And again, right? I won't necessarily say don't do anything during your undergrad and then wait till you graduate, because the moment you graduate, you're directly competing with candidates who are applying for their first job, right? And if you end up in an internship for 3 or 6 months, and then you want to apply to that full-time job, you're competing with the next cohort of undergrads, which means you're late. So understand how in the field and industry you're aiming for, what works, what are the employer expectations, and then work it out accordingly. It's always reverse engineering.
I think you raised some very valid points, and I would like to add, even based on my own experiences, I think internships teach you a lot. Apart from teaching you the technical skills, they teach you patience, they teach you resilience, they teach you,
Yeah.
how to sit in an office. It's very tough for a young student to sit in an office for 8 hours or 10 hours. So apart from the technical skills, I feel it teaches you a lot of soft skills.
Yeah.
And one major reason I find internships very important, especially during your undergraduate days, is that they allow you to course correct if necessary.
Yeah.
So you may be doing, let's say, a finance degree and you're doing a finance internship, and then after doing that internship, you might realize after spending considerable time that this is not the area I want to be in. And then you can accordingly course correct and do the
Correct.
right masters. Let's say if you like a particular field, um, you're doing a finance degree and you're doing a finance internship and you're enjoying it, you can pursue it further, and the more experience you have, the chances of you getting hired increase.
Exactly.
This also raises an interesting point. I notice many students, a lot of Gen Z, I mean people these days, they tend to reject internships at times because they don't get paid a stipend. Now, I recall when I was just graduating, we were told internships are very important. The objective of an internship is to learn, not to earn. Do you think students should reject internships just because they don't get a stipend, or do you think it's unethical from the point of view of the employer not to pay a decent stipend to students?
I think we need to balance the answer here. I mean, I personally believe that an intern should be paid, at least for his or her transportation and food, right? And sometimes, depending on the job you will be doing as an intern, sometimes you're actually performing a job of a associate or coordinator, whatever that first level in the company is called. And if you're actually producing deliverables that are going to be used within the firm, why not get paid for that? It's not just because you're a student that you should not, right? It's I maybe I'm biased on this. I have a very personal opinion on it. I won't go to the extent to say that the student should reject if that internship will serve him or her in the sense that it will get them closer to their goal. It will get them closer to answering questions they have about the field, about the company culture, about what does the day-to-day look like, then go for it, right? But I would say nowadays I would find it rare employers don't pay stipend because everyone is aware of first the quality of the interns they want to bring in, so they are making sure they're bringing in people who want to learn, therefore will be working, right? And that intern needs to commute, eat, call people, right? So a basic stipend, I would say, should be there and will be there.
Definitely, I agree. That will prevent students and even the parents rejecting not
Exactly.
enabling the students doing
Yeah.
the internship they actually should do. Um that raises another very important question. What about universities? What roles do universities play when it comes to bringing good internships and good partnerships with the industry? How can universities help their students in this competitive job environment get the jobs that they deserve?
I can see more and more that the universities are trying to bridge the gap between academia and the job market. I think there's a rising and bigger awareness around, what we're teaching in the classroom is not necessarily what's being applied and, on the job, which is completely true. All the theory you can learn, its application is a completely other story. So bridging that gap is important. Training, the professors and or the academic body on understanding what's happening in the job market and relaying that information to the students is important. Having professional career counselors, right, who are not going to just be there to tell them, oh yes, you've written your CV, now go and apply. But building these partnerships with employers or professional bodies starts with what strong programs the university has, because this is what they're going to advertise, this is what they're going to brand. How do they differentiate from other universities they're competing with? What quality of students they are bringing in? What is their ranking? What is the percentage of successful students and where are they ending up, and they start building on that data to attract more employers to come and say, look what our alumni are achieving, look how good our students are, especially if they're completing professional qualifications, and how high they're scoring at that, and start with building that relationship from an internship level. Try the students as interns and see what they can deliver, what quality they have, and also help the students from, like I said, sophomore year to start developing the workplace skills through encouraging more projects to work on, part-time jobs within the university that students can take. And once the employer will see that, okay, the students I'm bringing in as interns are doing really well, they're ready to work, they're smart, they have the right attitude, I want to bring them again, and I want to keep them as employees. And once we start seeing, as employers, we start seeing that the data from that university increasing in terms of interns and employees, then you're basically, that gap, that bridge is complete.
Yeah, I think this is very crucial. University partnerships are very crucial, especially in this competitive force, because all students need when they join a university is they're looking to graduate and end up with a good job.
Yeah.
So I believe this should be the ultimate aim of universities, to get their students
Prepare them.
Yeah, to prepare them, to set up a conducive environment,
Yeah.
so that they are able to find the jobs they need, and
Yeah.
also to partner with top institutions and make it easier for them to get these
To
jobs
transition.
in a very competitive workforce.
Yeah.
Carol, it was wonderful having this conversation with
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you
so
very
much,
much.
Sherwin.
Thank you. Friends, I hope you enjoyed the first episode of Breakthrough. Let us know in the comment section what other episodes you'd like us to feature. Stay tuned and see you again at Breakthrough.